Hi students, this is Coach Gowan at Heritage High School. Gotta love a picture like that, huh? Alright, I'm going to close that picture out so it's not a distraction. Alright, back at the beginning of school, we had you enter some answers to questions on a Google Doc, but one of those questions we did not do was, how many text messages do you send in a day? We're going to try to answer that with some data that I collected last year from classes. And we're going to do some things. First of all, we're going to do something called a frequency table, which you guys did a couple of lessons ago. Well, I'm showing a frequency table over here on the right. The only thing is that's not the frequency table for our data. Okay, I'm going to go show you in a Google Sheets that data, talk about it a little bit, and then we'll come back and discuss some more about this. So here's the Google Sheet. You see my column of data over here on the left, and that goes on and on down to about 80 documents. I want to show you over here, though, this is the frequency table, and you can start looking at how long this is. And we've got several numbers here. Say in particular, look here, 35, 36, 37, 38. And you'll see most of these, like 35, it only occurs twice. 36 occurs once, 37, 38. So this frequency table with all of these numbers, even as big as it is, doesn't really show us a true picture of the data. So we're not going to use this frequency table. We're going to use something called a histogram. And here's one showing. So let's go back and take a few notes. We would like to summarize our frequency table when we have lots of quantitative data, okay, data that's numerical. We want to summarize it, okay, so lots of quantitative data into groups. Okay, it's not categorical, but we're going to take quantitative data and put it into a group. So here's my first histogram. And you'll notice each bar here is a group. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4. And these things have ranges or intervals, what we call intervals. Okay, it looks like this interval goes from 0 to 10. Okay, but not. This is called an interval of 10. Even though it actually, in this case, runs from 40 up to 49. That would account for 10 numbers. That's why we call our interval 10, even though it goes from 40 to 49. Well, that's important to understand. This 10 actually belongs in this group. This 20 actually belongs in this group. This 30 belongs in this group. So forth and so on. Okay? And then with a histogram, just like a lot of other things, over the side, we get a count. Okay? So like this bar is at 5. This bar is all the way up to 25. And remember, this bar represents the numbers from 10 to 19. So if you went back at our data and you looked at our data, all of these numbers starting at 10 all the way down to 19, which is not showing, all of those are in that bar. So we've put them together in a group. Okay. I gave you another histogram here. It looks like it's 0, 16, 32. So this interval looks like it's running at 16. So interval at 16. But if you really look, this is running 0 to 15, 16 to 31, 32 to 47. And if you were to count those, you would see that each box or each bar has 16 possible numbers in it. Okay. And then it gives a count again over here. That one looks like 21. This one's a little above. I'm going to say 31. And this one's a little bit below that line, so I'm going to say 19. Okay. So we're going to use this second one right here to calculate some numbers for us. Fewer than 15. So we're going to use this bar graph, or this histogram right there. Excuse me. So looking at fewer than 15, that looks like this column is fewer than 15. So that looks like 21. And then from my spreadsheet, I realized I had 80 students. So 21 divided by 80 is 0.262, which is 26.2%. So those is our percentage that sent fewer than 15 messages yesterday. All right, histograms. What about a description? Well, when we describe histograms, okay, we're actually looking at the shape they make. And so in green, you see I'm going to draw a shape over both of these. The one with the bigger range doesn't look quite as much like the first one. But you can tell if you look closely, both of these are skewed to the right. What does skewed to the right means? If you took a normal curve and you just kind of pulled it to the right, that's what's skewed to the right. So our data kind of trails off up high. Okay. Well, what happens if we change the interval width to a very small number? Okay, well, here's a picture of 1, and you can see 0 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 12. So this interval looks like what? Interval of 4. So the first column actually goes 0 to 3, and then it goes 4 to 7, etc., etc. Okay, well, this graph is really, really hard to read. I mean, it gives you so much data, and it's going up and down and so forth. But again, we still want to look at the shape. Okay, of this new distribution right here. And if you look, I'm still going up. I'm not going to hit it perfect, but when you just draw a general shape, we still get skewed to the right. So our interval is not going to drastically change the shape of our graph, but it is going to change the readability. So that's normally why, according to the first two histograms, we would prefer to have intervals, let's say, a little bigger. You can usually talk about, if you look on the one on the left, I've got about 7 or 8 intervals, the one on the right, 5. So that's a good number to make it readable. So you just decide how big does your interval need to go from the lowest data point to the highest data point. Okay, and your job will be to summarize all that I've talked about, okay, into this box right here. And then you're going to make a histogram of the U.S. presidents. So let's find the youngest age on here. I see looks like a 48. Do you see anything lower? There's a 47. Oh, here's a 42. That's pretty low. And in some of the highest ages, here's a 69. Not seeing anybody over 70. So if I was starting this histogram, I'm thinking 42 to 69. I would probably start it at 40 and go to 70. And then if you made intervals of 5? I think we would all get pretty similar histograms and get a pretty good look at how old our presidents are since George Washington started our presidency. All right, I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, again, get with your teachers. You can drop Coach Gowan an email over at Heritage. I'll be willing to answer it. Just anything to help you be successful in statistics. All right, hope you enjoyed the lesson and have a great day. Bye.